My name's Karen and I've been resident in Uruguay for over 20 years. I was a remote worker initially, and now I'm the founder of Uruguay.com. Uruguay is a small country in South America. It has just 3.5 million inhabitants, and it's off the radar for digital nomads in general, despite the fact that it has unspoiled beaches, beautiful countryside, great wine, and great internet.
Hello, my name is Chris. I am a global communication coach for CEOs, entrepreneurs, startups, and business professionals. I've lived on and off out of New York City for about the last 15 years, but for the last 3 years, I've been living out of a backpack as a digital nomad.
Uruguay has just approved a digital nomad law. This is great news because for the first time, remote workers and digital nomads will be able to get a residency permit to work from Uruguay for up to 12 months. In this video, you'll learn 8 reasons why Uruguay is a great country for digital nomads, and 2 areas you should be aware of. Stay tuned to the end to learn how to apply for the digital nomad residency. It's really easy. So Chris, tell me about some of the reasons why Uruguay has been a good place for you as a digital nomad.
Well, one of the top of the list is the internet situation. So I'm a communication coach and I'm on video calls with people all over the world every day. So that's obviously something really important.
Yeah.
And when I was here before, I was living out of over 10 different Airbnbs from the capital city all the way up the coast, and I never had an issue. That was something that was really like, whoa, to me, very important. And then also, if you just need internet in the street as you're walking around, it's super easy. You can buy a SIM card, it's like $10 extra a month, and that works super fast. Well, I think time zone is a huge thing, especially for someone like me that's working with people all over the world. So I feel like I'm in like a sweet spot here in Uruguay, and I can work with clients from San Francisco to Eastern Europe. Well, actually, just this morning, I got a new client who lives in Dubai.
Wow.
So I can work with him at 9:30 in the morning here, and it's 4:30 in the afternoon for him there. So I love that. There's also no daylight savings time here, which I love that too. I don't have to worry about changing my clocks, and all the calendars kind of move around us here in Uruguay. So it's super easy.
So Uruguay is the sweet spot where time differences are concerned, time zones.
Totally.
There have been massive changes in Uruguay in the gastronomy sector over the last 5 to 7 years. But what were you expecting when you came, and what did you find?
Well, what I knew before I came was the land of steak, and I had heard that there's like more cows than there are people in this country.
3.5 cows
there you
per
go.
person.
That's a lot of cow. It's a lot of steak, and I don't eat any of that. So I was a little like, what am I gonna do? But actually, to my pleasant surprise, like there's so many different options, vegetarian, vegan options, not only in the restaurants, but also in the grocery stores too. There's things to buy. I have eaten that way for a long time here in this country. But also what I love too, what you're talking about, the changes in the gastronomy scene, is that also there's these coffee culture exists all over the place. There's great cocktail bars. They just keep popping up. I noticed new ones here this year too. Well, I think safety is a huge thing when you're traveling. And as a New Yorker, my experience here in Uruguay is great because, for example, in New York, if I hear a car backfire or like a loud, metal trash can bang or something like that, I'm instantly usually going to think something's wrong. There's a gun, something like that. I don't have that experience here at all. I think, oh, a car backfired, or, oh, there's a large bang from a metal trash can, and then I go on with my day. It's really a nice relief, to tell you the truth. I think it's important when you're traveling to have health insurance. And that was something actually I was able to do here when I was living here before. For example, in New York City, I was paying probably like $650 a month for like the most basic healthcare. But here I was able to drop that and join the private Uruguayan healthcare system, and that cost like $50, and that was, coverage that I was getting in New York City.
And you're able to just go in and join that with a passport?
Super easy.
Yep.
Yeah, it was super easy. And then also, I was able to just get my teeth cleaned because I was here for over a year, and that cost $30, I think, so winning.
So we should just mention that Chris was here for a year because the borders closed when he was here during the pandemic, and that was why he was able to stay longer at that point. Okay, so tell me about the kind of quality of life that you can have here in Uruguay.
It's fantastic. I mean, I think there's a lot of different places that you can live and work. There's the city, there's the beach, there's the hills, you know, there's always great public transportation to get you there. There's great internet in all of those locations. And I really feel like because of the culture and just because of the country itself, there's a really nice work-life balance that doesn't exist in other places that I've been. So that is great. It's like baked into the culture here. So you can really enjoy just simple things, which I think at first might sound boring, but it became so hugely important to me. Just taking time every day to go and watch the sunset. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
Can we dig a bit more into the community aspect?
For sure, it's really important as you're traveling around the world to have those communities, and here it was really easy and plentiful as well. I think that there's a lot of different ways that you can do it. One are these online groups, and one thing about the online groups here is there's actual Uruguayans in the groups as opposed to just expats and travelers and things like that. And the other thing is that the Uruguayans, the locals here, are actually willing to help, and they want to meet you instead of trying to sell you something all the time. And that is refreshing. I have met friends who are now like family off of some of these groups, and that is fantastic. And also with LinkedIn, that's a huge networking opportunity, and I feel like here in Uruguay is a place that I have been asked to meet people in person for a coffee more than anywhere else where I've traveled. And it's usually them that are initiating that, to meet in person for a coffee and things. So I think that those opportunities in online groups that are spilling into real life connection, it really exists here. One other thing that was really attractive to me as I was looking for places to explore and travel was how progressive this country is, which is surprising because this is a tiny little place, right? So there's a lot of different things that it represents in terms of it legalized gay marriage over 10 years ago. Marijuana's legal, abortion's legal. I think there's other really progressive things that were surprising in a little country like this.
Yeah, for sure. So this is part of a long political tradition in Uruguay that cuts across political parties as well. You know, there's been a complete separation of church and state here for over 100 years. Public university is still free. And Uruguay is the only country in the world to have totally rolled out the one laptop per child initiative. There are some digital nomads for whom Uruguay would not be a great fit, right?
As a New Yorker, or if there's somebody who's looking for big city action, energy, go, that's not here. There is one place in the country where you can get that high energy for about a month, and that is Punta del Este, which before I came here was described as the Ibiza of South America. So now that I've experienced it, I would say, yeah, that's pretty accurate. That is pretty accurate.
So in January, Punta del Este in January. And Buenos Aires is just 2 hours by ferry away from here. So if you want to get your fix, 2 hours, you're there, and then you can be back again.
You don't even have to rent a hotel.
You can go for the day.
You can go for the day.
And stay out all night.
And then just come back while the sun's coming up.
I love that.
As a New Yorker, rent, internet, that's really affordable. But of all of the places I've been in Latin America, this is definitely the most expensive. I think that you could live a really nice life as a single person. I'm just looking at my experience as a single person, living and working, $2,000 a month, and you're set. Like, that's pretty good. The rent is not that expensive. You can get a really nice apartment in a great area that you could never afford in some place like New York.
And how much are you paying?
You could do that from $900 to $1,200 easily. And that's usually an Airbnb isn't covering everything. You know, all of your internet, your electricity, the gas, everything is covered and all that. So
what would you say to people that they should bring when they come?
Clothes, electronics. Those two things can be pretty expensive, but the wine is cheap and delicious.
The permit is for people who work for themselves, run a business, or work for companies abroad. Apply for a 6-month digital nomad residency and an extension for a further 6 months once you've landed in Uruguay. For the initial 6-month permit, you fill in an online form with your personal details and sign an affidavit that you have the means to support yourself financially. The application has a nominal cost, and once processed and approved, you'll receive your digital nomad permit via email. At this time, there's no salary requirement, but this and other requirements may change. We'll keep you posted in the description below. If you're ready to apply, let's go to the application form together, because it's in Spanish. I'll take you through it. Click on the link in the video card or else in the description below. To find out more about living in Uruguay, visit liveinuruguay.uy and guruguay.com.